An old chipped paint Chevrolet rattled its way into the parking lot of Blake's Heavy Motors on a scorching midday. The hood clicked and clacked as if protesting the journey it had just endured. Rows of gleaming new trucks stood in perfect formation on the blistering blacktop, reflecting the searing July sun like massive sheets of polished metal. Ethan Blake sat behind the wheel, fingers tapping rhythmically on the steering wheel. Most of his face was obscured by a faded baseball cap. 3 days' stubble clung to his jaw. A worn-out red-gray flannel shirt, a drugstore watch, oil-smeared boots, the perfect disguise for the role he was about to play. Cole Jensen, a blue-collar electrician looking for a work truck. He took a deep breath and stepped out. Gone was the polished demeanor of the CEO, the founder of this renowned truck empire. Instead, he moved with a slow, slightly hunched gait, scratching his neck like a tired laborer just off a long shift. Ethan didn't want to be recognized. For the past 18 months, he had barely appeared in the flagship showroom, focusing instead on expanding to other states and managing remotely through sales reports and soulless Zoom meetings. The numbers were fine, but something didn't sit right. A few emails from past customers, grumblings on social media, and then an anonymous letter from someone within. The system is rotting from the inside. If you still care, come see it for yourself. That was why Ethan had returned. No cameras, no assistant, just him and a quiet plan. The glass showroom door slid open, air conditioning blasting out a welcoming, artificial chill. A young man approached, sharp haircut, white shirt tucked in, a name tag that read Leo. "Hi there, I'm Leo. Here to check out trucks today?" he asked brightly, eyes quickly scanning Ethan's simple clothes. Ethan gave a tired smile, the kind that belonged to a man who had spent a month comparing prices and finally scraped enough together to walk into a dealership. "Hey there, I'm Cole. I do residential electrical work out in the suburbs. My old truck's on its last legs. I'm looking for something sturdy, not too flashy." Leo nodded. "Totally understand. We've got some great options. What kind of budget are you working with, just so I can tailor my recommendations?" "Round 35 grand, Ethan replied, like he'd been weighing that number for a year. Leo led him past a neat lineup of trucks. Each was spotless, the spec sheet clearly visible on the windshield. But Ethan noticed not one showed the total cost after tax and fees, only the base price. A subtle red flag. They stopped in front of a brand new silver Ford F-150. The mirrors were still wrapped in nylon. "This one just arrived yesterday," Leo began. "Perfect for job sites. High ground clearance, great payload, strong engine. And we've bundled in the Titan Shield protection package. That's extended warranty, rust proofing, interior protection all in one." Ethan paused. "That package, mandatory." Leo hesitated briefly, but the smile didn't waver. "Technically, it's strongly recommended. Most customers opt in, so we just include it for convenience." Ethan nodded slowly, fingers brushing the windshield like he was admiring the truck. But in his mind, a switch had flipped. The protection plan was never to be pre-bundled. He himself had signed that policy into the dealership manual. "Mind if I see the engine?" Still deep in the role of Cole Jensen, the kind of guy who once fixed his own truck during a thunderstorm. Leo popped the hood. Ethan glanced at the engine, but his real attention was elsewhere. Leo's eyes kept flicking toward the upper floor, where a glass-walled office overlooked the showroom like a watchtower. Inside, a man in a dark suit, hands in his pockets, eyes sharp as razors, observed them like a hawk. Travis Monroe. The name rang in Ethan's mind, the top regional salesman turned sales director just 6 months ago. The same man known for his motto, "If they don't buy the extras, they're not real customers." "On after the demo," Leo suggested. "Want to sit down and run the numbers? You can always place a deposit later if you're interested." Ethan nodded. The small office was tidy. Leo opened the computer, hands slightly shaky. He entered the vehicle price, then line by line added fees, hesitating at each one. "So, total comes to $37,900. That includes Titan Shield, internal processing fees, regional market adjustment." "Regional market adjustment?" Ethan looked up. "Yes, it's a location-based adjustment. Some places charge it, some don't. Ours does. Ethan said nothing. Anger simmered beneath the surface, but his eyes remained patient. He knew he needed to wait. From the next desk, a voice grew louder. That's not right. Josh told me the total was $32,000. I don't have more. My daughter's starting college. I can't pay this. Ethan tilted his head. A middle-aged man in a delivery uniform, face taut with frustration, hands trembling as he held a crumpled contract. A photo slipped from the folder, 3 kids around a birthday cake. Miguel Santos, and standing in front of him, Travis Monroe, down from the glass perch, all polished charm and oily words. I'm sorry, Mr. Santos, but those fees are clearly listed. Perhaps you should have read the contract more carefully. Ethan clenched his fists under the desk. In that moment, he knew he hadn't returned too early. He had almost come back too late. The place he had once called a point of pride had become a velvet trap swallowing the innocence of people like Miguel. And Ethan swore this time, no one else would be devoured. The air inside the showroom thickened after the cold exchange between Travis Monroe and Miguel Santos. Sunlight still poured through the tall glass windows onto the truck lot, but inside, the silence lay like a thin sheet of ice across every desk and clipboard. Ethan Blake, still playing the role of Cole Jensensen, sat motionless. His eyes were no longer on the contract before him, but on the hunched figure of Miguel, clutching his wrinkled papers as he left the dealership. His head bowed as though carrying the weight of the sky. Ethan clenched the strap of his cap, resisting the urge to rise. Every instinct screamed at him to act, but he knew if he moved too soon, the truth would vanish in an instant. He needed proof, a system map, the whole web pulled into the light. Across from him, Leo was still punching numbers into the terminal, hands faintly trembling. Ethan didn't need to ask, he could feel it. The kid had heard it all, felt it all. You okay? Ethan asked, his voice low and genuine. Leo froze, then gave a slight nod. Stuff like that, it happens a lot. Ethan tilted his head, eyebrows raised, not hiding his skepticism. What do you mean? Leo swallowed hard. His eyes darted quickly toward Travis's office above. We're trained to manage customer expectations. That means quoting low during consultation, then adding fees during the contract signing. If they resist, we say their loan's unlikely to get approved. Ethan exhaled slowly. And if they catch on? Leo looked at him like he had just asked the one question no one ever dared voice. Finance tells them it's internal policy, can't be changed. He lowered his head. The guy who helped Mr. Santos, Eric Vo, got written up for disclosing the full cost. After that, they moved him to Sunday shifts, then let him go. Ethan nodded slowly. He reached into his pocket and quietly started recording on his phone. A part of him had hoped this was an isolated case, but everything unfolding pointed to the opposite. This was systematic, deliberate, protected. Leo, Ethan lowered his voice, steady and sharp. I need to know everything, even what you haven't dared say. Leo hesitated, then leaned in. Travis sets quotas. Each salesperson has to sell at least 60% of their vehicles with Titan Shield. If they don't, they're moved to bad shifts early Monday mornings, Sunday nights, times nobody shops. New hires who slip up don't even get the chance to sell. Ethan narrowed his eyes. Titan Shield is supposed to be optional, right? Leo nodded. But we're told to include it in the quote by default. Some customers push back. Most don't notice. And once they've signed, we say we can't revise the agreement, that the system is locked. Ethan memorized every word. This wasn't just about Travis. This was a business model powered by pressure psychology and calculated ambiguity. Has anyone ever reported it? He asked, still in his unassuming voice, that of a man who hated being jerked around, but hated injustice more. Yes. Leo's eyes fell. Eric, the guy, fired. He wrote an anonymous email to upper management. No response. 3 weeks later, he was dismissed for not fitting the team culture. Ethan froze. He was at upper management. But in the chaos of opening new branches, he had handed off email oversight to an assistant and an AI filter. He had missed a call for help. No more waiting. Ethan stood. Mind if I take another look around the lot? Wanted to double-check a few models. Leo looked relieved, like a man granted a moment to breathe. Sure, go right ahead. Ethan walked out, pretending to admire various trucks. But in truth, he was watching, listening. He heard the tone of voices, noticed how questions were sidestepped, how customers were carefully corralled through decisions they hadn't agreed to yet. He passed by two newer salespeople chatting behind a van. That old guy this morning bought the XL trim, didn't notice the protection package. Already added. He'll see it later. Too late by then. Past the refund window. He moved past the water cooler area lined with certificates. Excellence in customer service. Friendliest dealership in the state. Each one felt like a bleed across a memory the day he'd first hung them, believing his team was truly building something honorable. When he returned to Leo's desk, he spoke softly. Mind printing me a full sample contract? No omissions. Leo hesitated, then nodded and hit print. Mr. Cole, are you really just an electrician? Ethan didn't answer, he just looked at him. And in that gaze, Leo saw it something larger than commission reports or bonuses. Something waking up. As Ethan stepped outside, claiming to inspect his old truck, he quietly pulled out his phone, played back the recording, and sent it to his private email with the subject line, "Belongs to the truth, don't let them erase it." In his shirt pocket now, there wasn't just a phone or a cheap pen. There was a spark waiting for the moment to ignite, a match for the hollow system that had stayed in the shadows too long. The afternoon sun spilled across the floor of Blake's heavy motors, streaking the polished showroom tiles with warm amber light. Everything looked peaceful, deceptively so, as if nothing had ever gone wrong here. The staff still smiled, customers still browsed, the trucks still sparkled under the lights. But Ethan Blake knew better. He could smell it, the quiet rot beneath the shine. He wasn't in disguise anymore. No faded flannel, no dusty cap. Today, Ethan wore a crisp white shirt, sleeves rolled up, jacket draped on the chair behind him. Yet no one recognized him. Not really, because no one here had ever seen him not the real Ethan Blake. The founder was just a distant name in email headers and trade magazine interviews. A legend, not a man. Ethan sat at Leo Tran's desk, glancing over a digitally adjusted sales contract over $4,000 in extra fees. One italicized note read, "Regional pricing strategy, non-removable." He looked up at Leo. "I want to meet Travis in person." Leo paled. Are, are you sure? Ethan nodded. Tell him a big customer is about to cancel over the protection package. He'll come. He did. 5 minutes later, Travis Monroe descended from his glass office, straightening his blood-red tie, every crease of his sleek gray suit perfect. His smile was the same as always, the kind that didn't touch the eyes, honed for the close of a deal. Hey there, Travis extended a hand. Leo said you had a few concerns? Ethan stood and shook it. That's right. Just a few terms I'd like clarified. Well then, let's head upstairs. Easier to talk in private. Travis grinned. They walked across the showroom. No one paid attention. Just another sales negotiation, one of hundreds each week. The upstairs office was chilled and immaculate, the white lights bouncing off a walnut desk polished to a mirror shine. Family photos, a few plaques boasting top seller, in the grand window looking over the entire showroom, a king's perch. So, Travis said, sinking into the leather chair, what can I help you with? Don't worry, no one gives big clients a hard time here. Ethan sat across from him, gaze unwavering. It's not the truck price I'm worried about. It's how you're packaging it. Packaging it, Ethan nodded slowly. Tighten shield, market adjustment, processing fees, maintenance bundles no one asked for. I want to know, is this strategy or deception? Travis let out a sly laugh. I like you. Sharp. Most customers don't catch on. He leaned forward. But let me be straight. We don't sell trucks here. We sell dreams. The truck's just the vessel. What they're buying is a feeling, strength, success, being seen. What does that mean? Ethan asked, playing dumb. It means, Travis dropped his voice like revealing a trade secret, once a customer falls in love with the truck, they'll do anything to keep it. And by the time they hit the contract desk, they're trapped. That's when we spice it up. A little Titan shield, a small market fee. Slide it in and smile. By the time they notice, it's too late. Ethan tapped his phone under the table, quietly starting to record. And if they complain? Complain? What's that name? Travis chuckled. They're embarrassed. They don't want to admit they got played, so they bite their tongue. And guess what? They still come back when they need their next ride. And Blake, does he know? The old man? Travis laughed out loud. Please. He's off expanding the brand. Long as the numbers are up, he's happy. I run this place the modern way, results, not feelings. Ethan smiled faintly. What if I told you I was Blake? Travis grinned. Then I'd buy you dinner and ask for a raise. Ethan rose, slowly, calmly, no theatrics. Well, there's no dinner tonight, he said, removing his cap and revealing his face, the same one Travis had seen on posters, in company newsletters, on the website. Travis froze. Ethan? That's right. Ethan's voice had turned to steel. And we need to talk about your employment status. Travis stumbled back, hitting the edge of the desk. I can explain. Ethan raised his phone and tapped play. Travis's voice filled the room. We sell dreams. They can't walk away. Blake doesn't know a thing. The office door opened. Ethan stepped out, holding the showroom mic. All employees and customers, please report to the main hall. This is an emergency meeting. Mandatory. 10 minutes later, the floor was full. Staff in a circle, customers whispering near the displays. All eyes turned toward the man standing in the center, golden rays from the skylight casting his shadow long and clear. Many of you have never seen me before, Ethan began. I'm Ethan Blake. I built this place, and I've come back not to celebrate, but to clean up. He played the second recording, then turned to Travis, now flanked by two security guards. Travis Monroe, you are terminated, effective immediately. Fraud, price manipulation, employee coercion, and disrespecting our customers will not be tolerated. Travis shouted, you'll destroy everything. Customers won't buy if we don't push margins. Ethan's voice dropped, thunder in its calm. I'd rather lose $1 and keep our name than make 1,000 and lose our soul. Applause erupted, first from the customers, then the staff. The entire showroom woke from a annoying, silent sleep. At that moment, a familiar figure entered through the front doors. Miguel Santos. Ethan approached, hand extended. You never got your truck. Today, I want to personally hand you the keys at the price you were promised. No hidden fees, nothing extra. Miguel's voice trembled, but no words came. His eyes did the speaking, and so did the crowd's standing ovation. That day, the mask fell, and the light returned not just through the showroom glass, but into the hearts of everyone who stood there. The sun had just broken over the horizon. Gentle rays slipped through the tall glass windows of Blake's heavy motors, scattering soft golden silk across the gleaming tile floor. The morning was unusually still, punctuated only by the quiet hiss of the coffee machine and the soft shuffle of the cleaning crew polishing the front windows before the first customer arrived. Ethan Blake entered through the side door. No assistant, no blazer, no company logo on his shirt, just a faded work jacket, light blue rolled-up sleeves, and boots worn down at the edges. In one hand, a clipboard. In the other, a red pen. He walked slowly past the line of trucks, stopping where it all once went wrong, the display area that had been the blind spot on the trust map. The place where staff were once quietly coached to push invisible fees. Now a new sign hung above it. The truck you see is the truck you get. No extras, no pressure. A young employee, hair still tinted with purple from college days, approached and stood straight. Morning, Mr. Blake. Doing inspections today? Ethan smiled softly. No, I'm here to listen. The young man blinked. Listen to what? To what I didn't listen to enough before, Ethan said, tapping the clipboard, and continued walking the floor. At the Eastern sales desk, Leo Tron, now head of sales ethics, was coaching two new hires on how to introduce products without psychological traps. Gone were the old scripts, the manipulative empathy hooks, and reverse closing techniques. Leo began with a simple truth. The first thing you ask when a customer walks in isn't, how do I get them to leave a deposit? It's, how do I make sure they feel respected? Ethan stood outside the glass partition watching, not entering, just observing the same young man who once trembled every time he had to bend the truth, now standing steady, teaching others how to speak honestly. In the service bay, Noah Kent was demonstrating how to inspect braking systems visually, no shortcuts, no guessing. When one of the new techs asked, "Doesn't that slow us down?" Noah smiled. "A few minutes slower is still faster than a crash." Ethan stepped inside. Noah looked up, nodded, and handed Ethan a printed sheet. List of all the units returned with the mechanical issues. We're personally calling each customer and offering free servicing. Ethan scanned the page. Some of the entries were 9 months old from the Travis era. "You know," Noah said, wiping his hands, "I used to think my job was just turning bolts. Now I know it's tightening what others were paid to leave loose." Ethan chuckled. "And you're doing a hell of a job." Across the lot, a small converted conference room now served a new purpose. Customer Roundtables, a monthly initiative Ethan started. No pressure, no applause, no branded gifts, just 3 simple questions. How did you feel when you picked up your truck? What, if anything, made you uneasy? What would make you want to come back? An older man in a checkered shirt nodded and said, "I thought all dealers were the same. But here, when I turned down the extra package, your staff still smiled and shook my hand. That's why I referred 2 friends." Later that afternoon, Ethan passed by the main display where a young woman in a courier uniform stood admiring a Ford F-150. Embroidered on her shirt was the name of Miguel Santos's delivery company. He approached. "Looking for a work truck?" She looked up. "Yes, sir. Uncle Miguel sent me. Said if I'm ever scared I'll get tricked, just ask to speak to the boss." Ethan burst out laughing. "Well, then ask away." She tilted her head. "If I don't want that Titan package thing, can I still get approved?" Ethan nodded. "You don't have to take anything beyond the truck. If anyone tells you otherwise, tell them to come find me." She grinned, taking a step back. "Then I'm not scared anymore." That evening, with the showroom closed, Ethan returned to his small personal office, once a cramped service waiting room, now a quiet space for reflection. He didn't use it to manage, he used it to remember. On the wall were 2 framed items. One, a photo of him and his father years ago, beside an old truck, the one they were tricked into buying with a predatory loan. The second, a handmade wooden plaque beside the door. "Trust doesn't need a warranty if you build it right the first time." Ethan sat, opened his laptop not to review numbers, but to open the letters folder. Hundreds of customer emails, each one thankful. No one asked for freebies. No one demanded compensation, just simple words. "Now I understand why my dad trusted this place." My son asked, "Dad, why is everyone so nice here?" "First time I've left a dealership feeling calm." He read a few lines, then powered down. As he walked to his truck, he turned for one last look at the showroom, the once glassy fortress of hidden agendas. It still looked the same. Yellow lights glowed on spotless tiles, trucks lined up neatly. Digital displays illuminated every price. But inside, something had changed. Trust, truth, courage. They were back. And Ethan knew out there the world was still full of new Travis Monroes, new systems of manipulation. But he also knew, as long as one person dares to stay and rebuild, the light will always find a way back in.